message.
He's got bass, too. Dave's got bass.
All right. Are we rolling?
Yeah.
I think we're rolling. You're rolling?
Yep.
You're rolling. I'm rolling. Let's go play bikes. Okay, there we go. Oh, this is the one without the bang, 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 bang. Oh, well. Okay, you guys ready for the poem of the day? Poem of the week?
Sure.
Snow levels are...
Good start.
I'll edit that out. Snow levels are receding. Can I get an amen? Time to turn the training levels up to a full 10. Yeah, I know you wanted to say amen, but I cut you off. One-day races start in just a few days. Am I happy now? Let me count the ways. Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 468 of the longest-standing podcast on the sport of cycling. Very likely Paul Main's last podcast because I think he just coughed up his last breath. But you did it off mic, so that was nice. This is the one and only Packfiller Cycling Podcast. Think of us as a post-ride beer with several friends and one asshole. I am potentially that asshole. My name's Pat Bolger, and with me are the members of the Packfiller and a special guest appearance tonight. So let's check in with tonight's Scratch Prologue. Of course, powered by Scratch Labs, the source for pure fueling at its finest. Dude, you okay? You're worrying me.
Tickle?
Yeah.
No.
Is it Ticor? Tonight's question, gentlemen, what is a strange taste aversion that you have? Like something along your lives that just went, I can't eat any more blank.
Okay.
Many times it stems from a mistake you made, like you binged on
Rum.
Bourbon.
hamburger.
Oh, is it strictly eating?
No, it's just taste aversion. So
Okay.
Anything like that. Okay. So that's the question. So introductions first. He's the guy who thinks I look like someone I definitely do not look like, Mr. Paul Main.
Yeah.
How are you,
Well,
man?
I was, just spray off your RV there. And I was worried whoever it was that, their shitter was full.
Well, I just a little backstory. I came alongside you because I went to start my RV this year because, it was dead and I had to jump start it because it sat in a parking lot for the last 5 months. And so I'm like, I better go driving around, give the battery a little life and stuff like that. I found you and came alongside you.
I know you were
I
there.
was there.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but there is, of course, this time of year, the side of the road on the
You were worried
opposite
about
side, the right
crashing
side of it's full of gravel and there was glass and everything. So
Do you think I was some redneck who was going to drive you off the road?
I don't worry about that stuff. I got more afraid when I realized who it was. Then I'm like, well, crap, he could have taken me out. No,
guaranteed me one place higher.
So I looked over it because you said it wasn't audible because I had headphones on.
I said, why didn't you call?
Oh,
yeah.
I thought something like you have a big ball. But obviously I didn't hear right.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so then I looked over real quick, and then I don't wear, right?
You don't wear
eye
glasses?
protections, yeah. So I kind of shield my eyes, so I was just a quick look over, and I thought, God, was that Gage Stromberg?
Yeah. No, not me.
It was you.
Hair.
Mm-hmm.
I have hair.
Yeah, I thought it was a stocking
Gage
cap.
doesn't have hair. I did have my little beanie cap on.
See, that's what it
Nice.
is.
Yeah, the ones that I wear.
I had my little Joe Pesci knit hat
Yeah.
on. Paul, what is the strange taste aversion that you have?
Salmon. Absolutely hate it.
Really?
No. Can't even. And I just made it tonight. I probably smell like a line cook.
There are.
Wait, you made it and you don't like it?
No. I made it for
Well,
my
it's
wife
so
and my
affordable.
mother-in-law.
So
So did you
Yeah.
didn't eat it? Yeah.
No, I don't eat it. I had a steak. Yeah, grass-fed
Yeah.
New York
Kill
steak
me.
how good are you?
with little herbs and butter on. You splash it up.
Little sad doe eyes before they slaughtered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next off, he's the guy who thinks he can squeeze that ass into a large skin suit, Mr. Sam Waples.
We'll see.
Did you try?
No. I'm
Okay.
just gonna go with
He
it.
came to my house and borrowed my skin suit for
Yeah.
a short amount of time.
You didn't try it on here?
He did. He came here and he tried it on in the bathroom, and then he came out
Then I
to
modeled it
model
for
it for
him.
my wife and myself with underwear underneath, which I'm appreciative of. But
Yeah, I just
visually, though, it was a little
it's-
messed up.
Yeah, but it's it's sizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Is it
winter, so
Lulu-
obviously
was
it's
it
going to
the
be lighter
Lululemon?
by spring, right?
And it's cold outside,
And
so
it's cold.
you didn't want to.
So they were shrinking.
Yeah, shrink.
Yes, exactly.
Were they Lululemon?
No. Oh, boxers? Absolutely. Right? The comfort. The support.
Sam, what is it?
Cilantro is disgusting.
Cilantro. You're one of those
I hate
soap or
cilantro.
I don't like
I don't
it.
even think that it's soap. I just think it's disgusting.
That's another one I don't
Really?
like. Yeah.
Most herbs I don't like.
Really?
Really, and I like
Coming from
okay.
a vegetarian.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know, but I don't mind rosemary if it's cut up, but I do not like it's like a pine needle then.
Why
If
would
you don't,
eat it without it being cut up,
Because
Who
if you-
eats it not cut up.
a lot of people just like put it on stuff. Yeah,
I'm big on like it's not so much the taste, it's the texture.
it's the texture.
Yeah, and if it's not fine enough, whatever it is, like
Yeah,
I like
well,
peppers as
yeah.
long as they're fine enough. I don't want to chew on them.
Yeah,
Oh.
I agree.
Okay. Don't worry. I'm going to introduce the guest voice you just heard, but he's last because he gets the final introduction. Well, technically, I'm last. Next, he's the guy who thinks Post Malone is stepping into country was a good idea, Mr. Jackson Bulger.
Okay.
Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Is that how we're starting?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Hey,
Throwing heat.
You drawing the
your
line?
night is gonna be really bad. That's your fault.
You're getting no screen time.
Nope. Yeah.
you
I'm
can
taking
never
this
click
over,
that
and you
photo.
can't control it.
You're the host. Yeah.
Let's see. Taste
Taste
aversions.
Better not be from something I cooked you.
No, I don't know if it's food necessarily.
Mm.
So my wife and I last weekend we went to was that last weekend? No, weekend before. For our Valentine's Day, we went to a restaurant and I ordered limoncello.
Okay.
Right, but I got it in a spritz when it first came, and I think I told you this story when you came to our house. And I really enjoyed it, and I was having a great time. And then they brought us over, which was a very classy move, I thought. They brought us over each individually a shot of their house-made limoncello, and they taste quite different once there's a spritz to it.
Yeah.
And then I took one sip, and I was. Have you ever seen That's So Raven? Where it all like warps and you go
Generation gap. Table
Yeah.
for two.
yeah.
People
I get it.
Yeah,
No, or
certain
it's
people
just
get it.
kind of the camera kind
This
of
is
goes
such a
whoop,
great,
like
yeah.
a zoom in. Thing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It actually goes into her eye and it's like a vortex. And it brought me back to Halloween a couple of years ago, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
I could not complete the entire shot glass of limoncello.
So is it a taste aversion to limoncello, or is it a taste aversion to hard liquor?
No,
Strong
it's
liquor.
a taste aversion to the lemon flavor in a hard liquor. Does that make sense?
It's okay. It's a combo.
So like a Sprite and vodka situation,
Can't
do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Just vodka, totally fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I prefer it.
Throw 'em back, comrade. Okay, I get it.
You know it.
Next off, introducing our guest panelists tonight, all the way from the West Side. We won't judge him for that. Where they think that, and by the way, all my introductions are a guy who thinks. So our guest panelists, all the way from the West Side, where they think that all Spokane should be renamed Bethlehem. Please welcome the race director of the Everett Performance Omnium. And I didn't ask you correct pronunciation of your last name. Is it Spivey or Spivey? Spivey?
Spivey.
Spivey. See,
I would have gotten Spivey.
If
You
you,
would've gotten
took the
Spivey?
Y off the end, what would it be?
Spive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit. Wow.
Crazy.
Well, welcome, man. And we all
Thank
just
you.
learned something.
Yeah.
First of all, what brings you to Spokane, and why did you lose that bet?
Work.
Okay.
Over here for a quick work trip and seeing family, and then coming to see you guys. Like this is I've heard so much about the Rim Break Bar that I just had to be here. So,
Wow.
yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Massive.
Yeah.
Place to be.
Yeah. Years of work by one of us.
Well, 1.5 of you. I'll take a little
What
credit.
the hell did you
Yeah,
do down
come
here?
on.
You asked me about the color of the walls.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, you didn't do diddly shit down here. I dragged this bar into here.
Yeah, this
by myself.
And this bar gave you AFib.
It did.
Yeah.
The coating of it gave me AFib the first time. In the middle of a mountain bike race. Anyway, Ryan, you got a taste aversion that just disgusts you and you don't know why, or you
Yeah,
didn't know?
no, I had a bad experience with Captain Morgan once, so
Oh.
rum certainly. But I think it's more less specific, but more things that like don't need to be there. or don't need to be there in that quantity. And,
Gotcha.
And I would, like,
Cilantro.
you don't put. No, cilantro belongs, but like peas don't go in mac and cheese. There's a restaurant near us that likes to get a little fancier, and like there's some dishes that you're like, oh, that sounds good, until you get to the mint part.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have nothing against mint, but I don't need it in,
Why?
whatever that is. And so it's like when you're just trying to get too cute with the flavors, just like I don't know, maybe I'm a chocolate and vanilla guy, but
No, I get it. I
Keep it simple.
definitely get it. Then especially some of those ice creams are kind of funky. Do you, Jack? I keep looking at you.
I really like
Like the
like mint chocolate
lavender. No, but like the lavender basil
Yeah.
ice creams
you'd
and stuff
you'd
like
think
that.
like there's the Salt and Straw in Portland.
Yeah.
And I can't get through most of those ice
You
creams
can't
because
get
it's just too much.
through.
Well,
The line is out the door.
yeah.
the Venn diagram of ice cream flavors and lotion, flavors, like there should not be
Never
like
should the
crossover
two
there.
cross.
Yeah,
Exactly. Me, I'm the guy who thinks that he has a chance this season. Oh, and that the Nile ain't just a river in Egypt.
You do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, if you race in a different category. I'm sorry, too soon.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was low. I came out swinging tonight.
And what category is that, Sam? How
A's.
are you going to measure
A's.
your words from this point
you'll
on?
do great in A's.
Thank you, Sam.
I'm gonna make a category just for you.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the kind of
I would do that
positivity we
mic'd
need.
up if it was just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Singing to
AFib
myself.
only.
AFib only. Our problem. Me
Wow,
and
that's
Phil
a
Miller.
great- yeah.
You know a guy.
Yeah.
I got you.
Exactly. I'm Pat Bulger. I have a taste aversion to anything peach flavored. Not peaches, but peach flavored.
That's fair.
And there's a reason why.
Oh, I know.
Schnapps.
Peach vodka.
Schnapps.
No, it was. Do you know?
Peach coolers.
Yeah, he does. I was going to tell him to close his ears because back in
Been
high
your son
school,
for 25 years.
back in high school, I made a mistake. I was super fit, racing all the time. Just came back from the Olympic Training Center, came to Spokane to see some of my friends, and everybody's like, "Hey, let's go out, let's go bye, house party or something like that." So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna drink. I'm going to do it." And this was apparently the beginning phase of years and years of abuse to my body and
Ground zero.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I bought a 4-pack of Seagram's peach coolers. I drank 2.
Packs?
2 coolers, asshole.
Okay.
2.
Okay,
2. And those 2 did so much. I vomited in my friend's bathroom, but I didn't
Make the toilet.
make the toilet. Yeah, it was. And so since then, I cannot drink or touch any peach candy. Like, oh, it's a peach Jolly Rancher. Get it away. I can't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. So
Shouldn't have told me that.
now you've learned something. Now what are you going to do? You're
Put,
going to
like,
force feed it?
peach drink in your
there-
water bottle.
Yeah, there have been some like peach, flavors for like. I don't think Scratch has ever done one, but they're just like peach. I'm like, no, God, no, coolers. And coolers, you guys don't know what coolers were. They were horrible. They were
The wine coolers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do?
Oh yeah.
They still make
Still
make them.
Do they?
Tour de Franzia.
Trulies are pretty
like that.
close to what.
That's just soda, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's about as close.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the coolers were really good quality wine
Yeah.
with flavoring.
They were.
Yeah, right. No.
French Chardonnay. First off, let's properly welcome Ryan to the show. Ryan, tell me a little bit about your history with cycling. What got you into this insane, financially draining activity?
Yeah, because I'm definitely built for it.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, no. I came into cycling from initially commuting. I live in Everett. That's why I started the race there. And then at the time, I worked in Seattle, and that commute was killing me. So
Oh, God, yeah.
I started driving halfway, and then would bike, on the interurban, kind of the other half. And because I'm competitive, that sort of escalated into group rides, and then it was like, okay, let's do this bike racing thing. So then started racing bikes, and the team I was on put on the Ballard Crit previously. And I was only there for 1 year of that, but it was a COVID casualty, but it was also it was not viable regardless, and for various reasons, and yeah, so I was like, Everett's great. We should have a bike race here.
Yeah.
And I'm really stubborn. I have a lot of irrational confidence, I guess. And so then I forced EPO upon my team. And
Boy, you got to be careful
off
the
and
way you
running.
say that. You got to be really careful the way you say that.
EPO or
Yeah.
oh
no,
yeah.
you forced EPO
on
upon
your
your team.
Oh yeah. No, I
I
They
did.
win all the time now.
of them are in
It's
Europe.
amazing.
yeah.
They're all getting a divorce,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but their legs are gorgeous.
Yeah.
USAC loves the name on that note.
Oh, I
It is.
bet.
It is a
Yeah.
really, really good name.
It was I think cycling has a nostalgia problem that
really. No.
I was hoping you were going to say
Rim
that.
break
first.
bar.
Yeah.
it takes itself too seriously. It kind of puts itself up on this pedestal.
Yeah.
And then wonders why nobody wants to be its friend. And so this felt like it fit in that we want it to be an Omnium. I want to communicate that it's in Everett. And then it was like, okay, what's the P going to be?
EO. Yeah.
And yeah, definitely tongue in cheek, but I think I think cycling would like to sweep under the rug some of its, darker history. And I feel like, well, no, like we can none of us, we're a part of that. And so we can laugh at it and move on.
Well, self-deprecation is a thing of beauty. Take it from a group of
out.
guys who call themselves Packfiller, for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot more people need a little bit more self-deprecation, and the fact that cycling, again, as you say, it takes it so seriously. Would you classify yourself strictly a roadie then?
Yeah, just by probably just financially. I think if I could afford other bikes, I'd do more things. But no, road to me is kind of the most compelling. It's the most interesting.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely did my research and
Yeah.
trying to play to the crowd. But it's
It
the
worked.
one, like all the other categories or all the other formats. Even if you have teammates, they're largely individual time trials to an extent. Like a cross race, like you're on your own.
Yeah.
A mountain bike, like just tactically that piece of it, to me is what's really interesting about road racing, and that there's this whole race within the race and all those moving parts, and I think that's fun.
How many bikes?
1.5.
What's the half?
It is a canyon air road that for those who aren't watching the live stream, I am bigger than most, and it is a canyon air road that has been ridden hard, put away wet, and
It's dying.
it's dying. And I went in to get some work done on it, and they're like, yeah, there's 2 pretty good sized cracks here under near the bottom bracket. And I was like, okay, that's gonna live on the trainer from now on.
Oh,
and
okay.
I mean, I couldn't say enough good things about it. Like, again, it put up with me.
Yeah. It sounds like an old, squeaky bed when you're on the trainer.
I can't hear because I'm breathing too hard and the fan's too loud, so I don't know.
Okay. I always ask the guys how your training, how your cycling life is going, and I'm going to open that up to the panel, but I'm going to allow you first. You're obviously a guy who's on the road a lot, and so that usually takes a shitload of your life away. But how are things going? How much are you riding? And where do you want to take it this season? Being a race director, I trust you. I know it takes a shit ton of your life away, and plus you're taking away one of the major races of the year. But
Yeah.
how's your cycling life?
Yeah, not. I have hit reset on sort of my priorities on, either time. I guess time associated with the bike, and a lot of that comes back to the family aspect of it. That my oldest daughter spends 30 hours over the course of leading up to the race knocking on doors, let alone all the time that I'm spending. So it's a lot of, okay, I'm choosing to put 4 hours into the race this week and not into training, and whatever happens for me on the bike is kind of icing on the cake. And
It was a blackout moment for me, but were you the person I rode with in RC3 in the road race? That was you?
Yep. Yeah,
He was
on
talking
Horrid
massive
Fitness,
shit.
and
Hey, don't.
I'm in a mood. I don't know.
No,
Was he
you
flipping you
guys,
crap?
I'm not sure which one because I was talking a lot of
you
shit.
guys both said it at the same time. He was like on Horrid Fitness, and I didn't even hear what you said. You're just white noise now.
I know.
I sleep to your shit.
Yeah.
But I was just going, oh God, because that race, I did not have a good day on that race. I was in pain.
Yeah.
Shut up. Because I know you were like, I did 2 laps or 3
We did
laps.
3
Yeah,
laps.
you guys saw me after go up to the finish line.
Oh God.
I was like, oh, darn.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah.
That was a tough
I mean, the
day out
car is
there.
right there. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go past the car and you got another 3 kilometers to go.
Yeah.
And it's uphill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah,
Why?
that shit's
and what am I doing this for?
right.
But then-
30th place?
But then you see the DNF part next to your
Yeah,
name,
yeah.
and it just drives
Yeah.
home.
I still got the DNF. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
Did
Yeah.
you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't mark you down?
We didn't go up the hill.
Mark at
I
0.
did, but I was so far behind. They're like, everybody is
That
done.
sounds familiar.
Oh, so like the timer's packing up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit. Oh,
Yeah.
I got you, buddy.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
Put you in the
And
result.
I saw it. I was like, I
Loser.
didn't finish.
And that's when you don't want to go dispute the next day.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. Yeah.
Out of 87 riders, I was 88.
Yeah,
Put me
exactly.
down.
Mark me in.
How many points for 88th
Yeah.
in this Omnium?
Exactly.
What is it?
World Cup. How's everybody else's cycling life doing? How we doing?
Good. Really good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've been really sticking pretty tried and true to my training plan lately. Yeah, to the plan. So I'm hoping that the guys that are riding with me on Saturday know that it's actually a workout day, which means I've got to do some race pace efforts, a lot of them. So it's going to be a fast ride on Saturday.
All right.
Yeah.
You have also, I've noticed, like the rides have been ramping up. They've been like you're doing over an hour now.
Are you stalking my son?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I am.
Yeah. He's been generous with the kudos lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
of
love
course.
it. But
Share the wealth there, bud.
No, not
Fuck,
you guys
dude.
got to earn them.
If your kudos given to kudos received ratio isn't like above 1, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm a part of the
okay.
problem.
Oh, I see.
I'm a part of the problem.
but all in all, it's been going well. So
Anyway, I'll talk about that later.
okay. Sam.
I'm going to talk to you in a minute.
Okay.
Do not tell me how your cycling life is. Paul?
Well, we rode together.
Yes!
Yeah.
Paul and
Yeah.
I got
Jealous.
outside. Where is my... I need some kind of a happy drum roll. Ain't going to cut it, but we'll... Yay! We got outside this weekend.
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Nice.
Every single style of weather fell upon our brow.
Freezing rain was nice.
Yep. Yep. What's the road
you
out
know,
there?
it cracks me up. He's like, he's not going to ride. Bellingham is the best place to ride a bike, which is like they get
Yeah.
like 25 more inches
For those
of
of
rain
you
than
not
we do.
watching, Ryan just went, what?
Yeah.
What?
And then he's afraid to take his brand new Specialized because it'll dissolve in the rain like
Yeah.
a pack of Kool-Aid in
Yeah.
a pitcher of water or
Yeah.
something. He's
Yeah.
Okay. Bellingham is the best
some
place
sort of
because you
sugar
can
cube in
disappear
the
into
rain.
Galbraith and you can go into the trees. You know,
That's the sound of your bike in the rain.
that's true. Actually, I can't argue that.
Paul, how was the rest of the week, though?
Well, you caught me
Yeah.
with a stocking
I
cap
did.
and harassed me. on
I
that.
did.
So that's it. I had a couple of indoor training, but
Did?
that doesn't count.
Ladies and
Never
gentlemen.
does.
I dispute that. I know that's always been your thing. Indoor, like look at the amount of time you spend coasting on an outdoor ride.
Fair
Like
enough.
there's no stop signs, there's no stoplights.
I'm not saying
indoors.
it's easy. It's not the same.
But it's character building too, in a way that like outdoor rides, you're like, oh, this is lovely, this is nice. Indoors, you're like, dear
Soul-sucking.
God, this is the worst.
Yep.
But
It's
you did it
awful.
anyway, so
You did
I
it.
think there's a balance to be had for sure.
Yeah,
And
you
I
won't
like-
find me indoors in the summer.
Yeah,
Personally.
You might find
Yeah.
me.
You might find me.
Yeah.
but from a purely
Time-wise.
training stimulus standpoint, I think. Like if you were only going to train for racing indoors or outdoors, especially living in Spokane, you'd ride indoors, and then you'd
How you feel
Come
about that,
outside
Paul?
and crush.
You
I
gonna
disagree.
you gonna
I disagree.
yeah.
I used to ride in the worst weather. Not that I'm old, but
Did your mom ever tell you not to insult the guests?
no.
Yeah.
Oh no,
No,
the,
that
the
part
guest,
was
the guest will bring his own
Your
insult.
friend,
so.
Yeah.
your friend came over. Don't insult
Yeah.
him. Let
I
him
will.
share
I
your
will
toys,
say.
Paul.
I will say, indoor training is a necessity if you live in Spokane.
Oh hell yeah, yeah.
But Dude,
Doesn't count.
What happens? I mean, if you didn't indoor train, you'd be in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
Come March.
Yeah.
So on that standpoint, it's pretty good, but it is completely different. I mean, your power numbers are different. Yeah, it's a good workout, and so is running too.
He's so crusty.
I like my rollers. That's what I miss.
Oh, I know. It doesn't count. It's not a ride.
I want to say I got 5 days this week.
That's pretty amazing.
I'm unbelievable. And then
How much was rowing?
1.
Nice.
Yep.
40 minutes?
Yep.
Wow. That is
Yep.
way more than I could do.
I got the blisters to prove it. What'd you say?
It's a wild.
That's a while.
I got the blisters to prove it. Well, I gotta get my shoulders.
Yeah, that's true.
They're a train wreck. And that 2.5, it was normally that 2.5 hour ride. If it wasn't our first outdoor ride of the year, would have been horrible because it was wind, it was snow, it was freezing rain, it was rain. I came down off the South Hill, and I was the wettest I was the whole ride.
Before we started.
Yeah, just stuff coming down, running sideways on the roads on the hill, and you just running through it. And the back spackle, as I defined earlier, was quite prevalent. And but by the end of the ride, I was smiling from ear to ear. Now, I hate putting on all the shit. I hate that shoe covers. Where's my leg warmer? Where's my other leg warmer? Where's my other shoe cover? These are the light ones. I want the good ones, or something like that. I hate that, but boy, once you go and you come home, and it's worth it.
That first outdoor ride every year is just absolutely horrible.
Really?
And I'm not talking weather could be good. I know that when I get on the bike here this week, I'm going to have my doors blown off. Like riding outside is so much harder than riding
All right,
inside.
Sam. How was your week, and where are you going tomorrow, Sam?
Well, I had a taper week.
Oh, because you got to prepare.
So I got to prepare.
For Mai Tais and
like
sand.
4-hour rides.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 80-degree weather.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah, but we're better than
Probably.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Because we don't have to readjust.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't hit the post-trip depression.
I don't think I'm going to either.
We're just
gonna
always
stay in.
depressed.
Yeah.
We're just going to stay there. Yeah.
Stay low.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll be in
Never have to
80-degree
come
weather in a month,
Where?
So will Spokane.
and I'll be in Palm Springs.
Oh.
That's so true, actually.
That is
I'll be
good.
hanging out with my buddy Stu,
Yeah.
the 70-plus steamboat champion.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
That will be fun.
Get 300 miles in.
Yeah.
Brian, talk to me about the outdoor the riding scene in Seattle. We did we worked on, and I say Seattle, and I apologize for that because that's
fine.
like
It's
that's
all
like
the same.
saying, Spokane is a suburb of Seattle, and I've had people say that. I'm like, 300 miles, but that the West Side. Talk to me about the community, about what the riding community is like, and like turnout and intensity. Do you guys have consistent area group rides, all that kind of stuff? What's it like?
Yeah,
way
there's
over there.
pretty typically. So Log Boom is a park on kind of the north end of Lake Washington, and a lot of teams will use that as kind of jumping off point or near there. And so usually there, and there's multiple trails. There's a lot of good ways to get to it, and teams will usually kind of, go off from there.
Yeah.
There is not a great kind of everyone together ride. It's a lot of like, this team's going to go do their thing.
So it
these
is
guys
kind
are
of
gonna do-
delineated that way.
Sundays, sometimes there's kind of a little more friendly ride that's kind of on the south end. And I think it depends on the time of year. Like, there's one used to be called the Rocket Ride, and that's a little more of the shootout.
Mercer Island.
The Rocket Ride will go kind of up sort of Woodinville, kind of go northeast.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah.
And that one's a little bit more, like nobody's noodling. That one is we're pushing. It's a drop ride. Abandon all hope if you get gapped. Which is, there's a time and a place for it, right? And it's not like December in a monsoon, kind of thing. And I think that's that's the challenge in Seattle is it's not flat. And so it's hard to keep bigger groups together at, because one person's zone 2, watts per kilo is not another's. Ask me how I know. And so that I think can be challenging for sort of bigger groups, but I mean the people ride year round for sure.
Yeah.
There's very rarely those like nobody's going out, kind of frost periods. There's always somebody.
Yeah. Are you out the door on the bike rides, or you drive to the ride, do the ride, drive home?
When I first started, I was drive to the ride because I needed to save every kilojoule for the ride. I think when I'm on form for sure, I'm a ride to the ride.
Yeah.
I also live. I mean, Everett is so much of what people are riding to is by me.
Yeah.
So kind of out towards Snohomish, towards Monroe, all of that, and so it became a lot like, okay, I'll meet the team partway because by the time I get to them is just when they're getting to the good stuff. So why would I ride all the way down there to ride the less good stuff?
Well, that was what I noticed when we did the Bike Town in Seattle. It was kind of Mercer Island, or it was, I mean, every time I've ridden in Seattle, people have just gone, let's just go around Mercer Island. I mean, it's a beautiful ride.
Sure.
But I would get a little tired of it.
Yeah.
But and I don't. I'm not
it's
bashing.
the safest place to ride there, though.
Is
I
it?
mean, because you own the road. Cyclists have that.
Yeah.
That
and
road,
then so what turned into was that, or you probably throw the bike on the car and go someplace, and then ride to something, and that's. I was like, no, we win.
Well, so speaking of coasting, I have had rides where I live on 19th Street. I turned left on 19th Street, and I didn't stop pedaling for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Until I got to where the team ride was meeting, and some of that was just like all the stars aligned. The light was just right, but it was just constant pressure. And then I've had rides, especially going east, out towards Sultan. Same deal. Like you leave your house early enough on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And time gauge the lights right, and you can just go.
Yeah.
And not have. So Seattle proper, it's challenging, but you're so close to good stuff.
Yeah.
Not unlike Bellingham. Bellingham's not good because the riding in Bellingham is good. It's that it's adjacent to good riding to be had.
That is very true. Yeah. Like down Chuckanut, everything down south of there is amazing. Like everything up north of there is amazing.
Chucknut?
Skagit.
Chuckanut.
Yeah.
Have you not ridden Chuckanut?
No, I have no interest in it.
Paul Sold has got to do. He's got to do that every single morning. Chuckanut.
Jay, that's exactly
right over the shoulder.
Oh, man, I'm getting baggy.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else.
Oh my god!
No, take it easy.
Well, bust a nut, chucking out.
No, not the same.
Not the same.
Oh, that's funny.
So I want to kind of talk about, Ryan, you touched base upon about putting on the races and things like that. And last week we talked, it was kind of our hot topic. And in fact, before we get too far into that realm, I kind of want to retouch a little bit on last week's show. I received quite a bit of feedback, strangely enough, on that topic, and especially on the concept of where I brought up the example of an area series. I don't want to call specifics, even though everybody local knew the specifics about juniors and racing and things like that. And I got a really good email from one of the parents in regards to this situation.
My brother-in-law.
Yeah. Well,
the plot thickens.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I think a lot of the issue stemming from this is just simple communication. And I think that's the issue. And it's so funny that we live in a world where communication is at our fingertips. It's in our pockets. It's so available, yet there is so little communication. And there's a lot of hearsay around. And to read some of the comments from the parents and the families that attend the races, I do agree fully, but I also agree that many times the complaints at the events come of a small percentage of the participants. And that can lead to some hasty decisions. For example, in the case of the series, some of the issues rose when riders actually complained that juniors were all over the course. This is a very interesting format. Unlike road, where we have groups delineated, where you can pass clearly, where in a crit you're aligned your specific race time, nobody else is on the course. This format is more of a, okay, we do have 2 mass start times, but before that, if you want to go early, you can go early. It's all timed. It's go across the map, all that sort of things like that. And what happens is you've got families and kids who are heading out onto the course, and then 20 minutes later, a group full of pumped up racers who really want to haul ass bear down on these families and these people on this same course. And it's a single track section, and you can't just go around that. And so what we've got is we've got families who want to ride with their kids, who want to get their kids excited about bike racing. And I think we can all agree that that is one of the most amazing things in the world, and we need a lot more of that. But then on the other hand, we also have racers who said, I just paid full price to haul ass and beat my buddies. And I don't mean offense, but when I come up on a kid on a boo-boo kitty bike and they're having a great time talking to their parents, I want to get by them really quickly. So you've got the curmudgeony old bike racers and you've got the brand new kids all on the same track at the same time. And I think what happens is, as a race director, and I think that's where I kind of want to take this, is you end up with the complaints and you try to minimize the complaints. And so at some point in time you say, well, maybe if we charge the kids, it might thin out the herd a little bit. Or maybe, we try to figure out something here. I'm spitballing here. I'm making this up. This is not what the race directors said themselves. But how do we do this? How do we make everybody happy? And you spend your entire life trying to make everybody happy. And you end up with, people going to their keyboards and bashing you or something like that. And there's very little communications. And so it seems the more successful your event, the harder it becomes. And I can't say how much I wish every club still had to put on a bike race. I really wish that was still the case, because this would provide so much more perspective for both sides when it comes to the challenges, difficulties, and the struggles that it takes. I've been there. I know what this is like. Sorry, or even more so, hey, this race didn't work for me. Let's just not come back. That's fine, but you don't have to be a dick. And this email that came in was so praising of the fact of getting kids on bikes, and I couldn't agree more with that. And it would provide so much more perspective for both sides when it comes to all this kind of stuff. So anyway, and by the way, Roger says that Ironman races are $1,000.
Yep.
Oh boy,
$1,000. He says Kona is $1,000, and you have to get invited.
Yeah.
He says, but the other ones are like that, and he says the non-Ironmans are at least half that. I mean, at the most half that. Yeah, at least half that. Yeah. So
endurance sports, it's not a cheap sport, is
and that's some of, it's funny when I heard this situation from brother-in-law's perspective, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then I listened to the show last week, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and I'm dumb, so I didn't put the two together. Like, this is the same. And then when I listened to it again as a race director, I was like, yeah, okay, they kind of both make sense. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot of where it's a communication bit, like you said, that, yeah, from one perspective, this is a problem. But then it ties right back into the price of, Kona, that I don't think there is any other activity that for whatever reason we expect to be so affordable. In like you referenced soccer, last week, obviously, like there's the uniform, there's the team fee, now there's this tournament we're going to do, like everything costs money. The bikes cost $1 gazillion, but we expect to show up and have the race be cheap.
Yeah.
And like what did a race cost in 2000, the year 2000, like probably pretty close to what it costs today. And show me anything else that's that same price. And so I think that's part of it. As a race director, I would love to have more well, one, we're a crit and it's a, much smaller format, and so we can have a dedicated, juniors field. But even then, like, there's a wide ability, right? Like, there was juniors who maybe crashed someone present out. And there were juniors that this was like my daughter last year, her first ever bike race. And so it would be awesome to have a place for all of those, but it's not financially viable. And I think that's some of it, both on the money and time aspect, that whether you came up racing bikes, right? Like, lots of people came before you in order to pave the way for this to be possible. Mm-hmm. If you're just now getting into this, or you're in your 20s or 30s, sorry you missed the window where everyone else, paves the way for you. But now you need to help pave that way, and in some cases that means paying more than you would like to pay to subsidize and or volunteer to keep this keep the sport sustainable. Mm-hmm. In that sense, and that we have to have future racers, and they tend to start out as juniors, and then they can grow into this. On the flip side of it, in this scenario, I could totally see the expectation is you need to be able to get around a course in this amount of time. Mm-hmm. Because at that point you're creating, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And no kid wants to be that kid either, right? That you're scared, you're freaked out. I don't know if I know some of you guys ski, but like this Spokane Bunny Hill at Mount Spokane, all the other runs funnel through.
Oh my God, that is the worst design.
Like, if you're a little kid learning to ski, and meanwhile you've got people mocking through there.
Yeah,
that's not fun either. And so I think having here's kind of you must be this tall to ride this ride, and even a window of it, there's X number of these races that you guys are eligible for, at such and such a pricing, but then there's some level of qualifying. Okay, if you want to keep doing it, then this.
And you run into, especially with the mountain bike, this mountain bike format has such a very specific concept in it. If you think of Fondo, a Fondo where the young 10-mile loopers go early. Fine. Most of the roadies are going to blow past them on the, on your left.
They usually go last.
Yeah.
On road events, it's usually the slow ones are the last ones to go.
Yeah.
So there's no overlap.
But now when you're talking, this series is a 2-lapper race, so you've got these haul-ass guys.
Now on their second lap.
Who are doing 2 laps, every lap in 30 minutes, at the most, and then they're just bullshit. It's just, it's a catch-22 where you're just running into damned if you do, damned if you don't. Mm-hmm. That kind of a scenario. Everybody here in this room has been behind the scenes of a race. Mm-hmm. In one way or another. And what would you say is the biggest pain in the ass of the race promotion working experience? I find it comes, when it comes to complaints, I find it comes from such a small minority. The majority of the people who come to your race and leave your race don't say anything, because they're cool with it. It's the classic, those types of jobs. I used, when I worked in radio, I remember it was if you do your job great, nobody's going to notice.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's almost like putting on a bike race. If you do your job well, nobody notices, and so they all just go away. And then I find that there's the 3 to 5 people who are upset because your start time was off by 5 minutes because they didn't, and it screwed up their whole fueling plan. High triathletes, those kind of things. And you're just going, are you fucking kidding me? You were
never going to win.
You're going to leave me a bad mark online. And you're going to bash me online because a cow died on the course and some farmers had to roll it off the side of the road, and we had to start 10 minutes late, so your nutrition plan is off. Mm-hmm. That I'm not saying that really happened, but that's kind of the thing that happens.
I always find that sorry, did I?
No, absolutely.
I always find that whenever I've worked an event, it's always been, funnily enough, the non-participants that are the most vocal. In that, my spouse or my son, and I'm 75 years old, didn't do this exact thing in the way that we liked it to be, and we're going to complain to you about it because you have the microphone type of situation.
Oh my God, yeah. As an announcer, you get a lot of it.
Yeah. And that's one of those situations where it's kind of shooting the messenger in a way. Like you and I always talk about, like if we give some sort of announcement and then somebody's like, I can't do that, or that's annoying. It's like, buddy, like I don't really know what to tell you. Those, like, it's kind of the situation that we're in.
Yeah.
Coming up to me and saying those things might not really do anything. That's the most difficulty I've ever really had, honestly. So yeah.
Anybody? Paul, when was the last time you were behind the helm? At the helm, but not behind the helm.
I was never like a director, but
Yeah.
I always worked at, all the teams back in the day. We always had to put on a race.
Remember
and
the
stuff,
Mother's Day Massacre?
Yep, that's one of them. And also with River City Red, we had a gravel race that we put on. Well, it had gravel sections
It's
in
down
it.
to
So it was a
Wow,
race.
when he said it.
Yeah. But that's that's the way it was then.
Paul,
People-
you're a gravel pioneer.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's your fault.
Even Spokane,
Gravel
we did
before it was
Spokane
cool.
River Road race.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
gravel on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, way before. That was like in the 80s. Yeah. I would say, in the early days when I got into racing, people complained about, and this drove me nuts as an amateur, was the prize list. I'm like, are you serious? The prize list is like, well, I should, I'm a Cat 3, I should be getting $1,000 for a win. Why?
Yeah.
You are doing something that you love to do. To me, the prize list is not just, I don't need, a podium and a wave and that type of thing. That's great. A lot of people need that, but I'm out there for the competition. And that was the worst, was the pinnacle when road racing started dying and people went to mountain bikes, is because that it just became this. I knew a guy who was a Cat 4 who wouldn't upgrade, but he didn't have a job. He was just going from one race to the next, making money, winning. He was good. He was strong, and he made money. And they finally said you had to upgrade, and his career was pretty much done.
Wow.
Well, and I think that's something that we've talked about before about like
Seen.
Yeah.
about like the motivation of cyclists. Like some people, like you said, like they'll go to an event because they just love the sport and they love the competing in it. But then there are some people that out there that are like, I want my gift card to Jelly Bean World, and I got 85th. It's like it's a very interesting sport in that way.
Yeah.
Well, even at when we put it on Ronde Von Palouse, the gravel section road race.
See, Paul,
Yeah.
there are a lot of gravel sections that are associated with you.
I know.
Because
I like
I
them.
think
I like
EDOT
those.
protest too
You
much.
could have started BWR for God's sake.
My God.
I don't
is
like
too
solid gravel.
stubborn.
I like it as a selective piece.
Yeah, welcome
You
to
got to have
Freda.
selective sections, even like his race.
Yeah.
Corner 4 is the selective because you come down, you brake too much, you're burning some fuel going up over that hill. So
If he
you got to
wasn't
do
so
it.
stubborn,
Anyway.
he could have so much more fun on a bicycle.
You're right.
It's unreal.
You're right.
Yeah, I don't have any fun on a bike.
More events.
Saturday was terrible. I'm sorry.
More
There was.
events.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, but what I was going to say is like we had a situation where, as a bike racer, there's some things that you got to recognize that it's out of the control of those putting on the race. We had a big tractor coming down, and I mentioned this, I don't know how, several months ago, farm implement, this big wheel tractor going down and was taking half of our lane going the other direction. We got horns honking, commissaires up, everybody neutralized, single file out. We've got this. And people were complaining because I was going to attack. Listen, this is just, it's amateur racing. And we're out in farm country.
If you were gonna, you should have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just, there is people out there that are always going to be a squeaky wheel. But remember, if it wasn't for people like Ryan and you putting it on the 24-hour and those idiots doing the gravel races, those you wouldn't have
The
a
ones
race.
actually making money.
Yeah, they are. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh, God.
but I think as a bike racer, if you go to visit and do an event, keep that in mind. These people are sacrificing their weekend, and
Yeah.
and
There you go.
100 more
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
But those who volunteer,
Oh yeah.
in a corner or something, like my wife finally said after so many bike races, I'm done. I mean, out in the middle of nowhere, no one says anything. Or if you didn't stop, how come that car went by? Well, I had the stop sign out.
Yeah. I can't.
What am I
step in
supposed to do?
traffic.
Throw the sign at the
Yeah.
car?
Corner marshaling for urban crits is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're sitting on it. You get. Well, sometimes you even get to blow a whistle. Oh.
Yeah, I will bring your wife a whistle.
Yeah, there we go.
No, she's done.
No, Brian, before we went on there? But actually, when I was asking you about your cycling life, you were saying that, the race is a constant thing. Are people surprised? Do you think people don't understand that this is an ongoing process of putting this stuff on? Yeah.
So one of the last year going into year 2, I went and did the math on year 1, and essentially urban crit racing is like flying a helicopter, and that for every hour the thing is in the air, there's an hour of maintenance.
Yeah.
So if you think about, the three of you raced some level of EPO last year, for every minute you were out on course, there was equal number of minutes. So if you look at all the racers and you total up all the total race time, that's how much there is on the back end. And some of that is just standing on the corner in that moment.
Yeah.
But some of that is meeting with I know Ace referenced the failed Edmonds. Like, we spent a lot of time with the Edmonds City Council, or walking the course. And this was a race that didn't even happen, let alone the ones that do. And so, they're like onions. There's a lot of layers, and I don't think the average racer, sees that deep. And so it's not necessarily that, we want, a medal or anything, but it's that, I'm trying to help you. And I guess that's, when I think about who I'm frustrated with, it's not somebody who's mad or who, had a bad experience. It's if you had a bad experience and you didn't tell me about it, that's more, those are the ones that that's what keeps me up at night, is who was pissed and didn't say something, because now I don't have the opportunity to fix whatever they were pissed about. The other ones that I'm pissed about are the people who are like, oh man, we'd need more races, and then they had to wash their hair that night.
Oh my God, yes. Or they paid the entry fee and they didn't show up. Hey Sam, how are you,
At least
buddy?
they got money.
Yeah. No, that I don't mind those people as much, but
yeah.
I don't have a problem with grumpy neighbors. Really? That was even one of the most fun things in year 1 on that Grand Avenue course, the that overlooks the water there. I had somebody that's like, where do I park? This isn't fair. You can't close our, all the things. She was pissed. And then halfway through, that stage, I'm walking the course and I see her, and she's, I'm sure a bottle of wine had helped at that point. She's like, this is so cool. Can I be on a corner next year?
Really?
And so to see that 180, and I saw that, downtown there was somebody who was pissed because they couldn't do the delivery to, the recording studio that was in the basement here, and he's livid, and we're watching the 1-2s go by, and he's like, holy shit, they go really fast.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he becomes this cycling fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the flip side of that was Seattle teammates that when I would say, hey, let's have a race in Everett, they go, oh, Everett. And it has a reputation for, some people, and they think of parts of Everett. And that was definitely how I pitched it to the neighborhoods, was I say Everett to Seattle teammates, and they're like, yeah. But this is Everett, and they're like, yeah, this is Everett, and their chests puff up. And but then you'd see people that are like, this is pretty nice. I like it here. So that was cool. But so it's the people who don't show, it's the person who doesn't say anything. The prize money, because of the way our race is viable, we're super reliant on grant money, which is we get paid back for, and then because bike racers like to keep us up at night, they don't register till the last minute, and so we don't get paid from bike reg until the last minute.
Yeah.
So we literally did not finish paying out race winners until weeks ago, and you think back to how far, and so I have plenty of Instagram messages of hey, just checking in. Nobody truly complained. And it's good. Some people, $700, and they're like, I get it, and so that was really cool to see.
Wow.
That, and I think there's some of this is supply and demand. How much can they bitch if, there's only so many opportunities to race, and they want it to come back. And so, but that was really encouraging, because I felt shitty about it. But, and then the other one that keeps me up at night is the guy we towed from the downtown course, who lived in the building that had the no parking signs, that said can't park here on these days. 72
Weeks
hours
in
prior.
Mm-hmm.
They got a notice 30 days and, all the things. But at the same time, he's like, how do I get to work? And I was like, I don't know, dude.
sorry, man.
I'll drive you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's some of, and that's 1 a.m. on Friday after, that downtown stage when you're like, I got to get home to sleep. And this, this dude's having a meltdown. And so it's the, okay, how do we fix that? And it's like, okay, we have a tow service on retainer and we have a lot with the city that's nearby that, we can say, hey, your car's not here, but it's 2 blocks away, you know? And that costs money. And but it also speeds up the race, the downtown, especially the opening, what is it? 3-4 or 2-3, 2-3 field. Like they started probably 45 minutes late because we had cars to tow. And turns out those are, a challenge in urban setting.
See, there are so many things that go into this that are just not
thought of.
Yeah.
I think and what helps when you have a consistent, as your race progresses, and you have, of course, you were talking about earlier before we were on mic about, people are suggesting a different course. Once you have something established, then all of a sudden people are more willing to, as a racer, like, oh man, I got to go back. And then even the locals, this is what I found out just years after, putting on races in farm country, they all complained, and none of them wanted that. But if you're doing it every year, they kind of say, well, okay, it's that time of year. Mm-hmm. It's that shock, that original shock of how do I deal with this? Yeah. And that's just the American way. We just don't like to be inconvenienced.
Yeah.
I feel like a big, and I don't even know if this is true for you because I don't know the cost of it. But like people complaining and talking about like cost of your race, that has always like really grinded my gears when people complain about there not being races and then complain about like, well, God, it's so expensive though. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a race.
Right.
Like if you want to race, like this is what it costs to race. Like it's just that it's like ingrained in cycling for it to be cheap,
Yeah.
And it's like,
because the rest of the sport is, right?
Yeah. Well,
right.
I think they all see Ryan in some back room like Scrooge McDuck just swimming in all this money. He's like,
Big cigar out of his mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
And they see like, they're at a start line and they're like, well, there's 50 riders here. If we all paid this much money, and they're like quickly going through, and it's like, subtract now all of these other expenses.
Yeah.
By the way, I still, as the race promoter, probably owe $5,000.
Yeah, out of
it's
pocket.
Well, that's why, we were talking, and I think this was off air still, but on the Redmond race that was close to coming back, but just wasn't there yet. There was just too big of a gap between, if every racer who ever raced a bike in Washington showed up and they all paid full price, maybe we break even.
God, that was a cool race.
And so we'd love to bring it back, but like you're asking somebody to put out significant financial risk, and largely that was Ace, that he was willing to back, but it was the right call to pull the plug, and that's largely why we held off on picking dates, because we wanted, like, I want that race to come back. Like rising tide lifts all ships. The more races there are, it's good for all of us. But getting back to like the cost bit of it, making money off this, and I'm kind of like, why shouldn't he be? Like, or and it's fine if he's in a position to, pay that forward, but holy shit, like if I can quit my day job tomorrow and put on bike races, like where do I sign?
Yeah. Truly.
Yeah, like if you guys want to have more bike races, cool. Like you want to have a Spokane crit on, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
But when it's this like charity, where you're expected to,
that's a
move
flawed
heaven
thinking.
and earth,
Yeah, exactly.
to try to put on a good show for people who can by and large afford it, and that's some of the pain point. And so, and I don't know how we reset that culture. And it's also not just the, hey, I need you to pay. It's, I need somebody to stand on a corner. I need somebody to move a hay bale.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. I think those are the two biggest things that I would love for every racer And so, like where you had shared, it would be great if every team still had to put on a race.
Oh God, yeah.
I kind of disputed in that, to me, you consolidate because then you need to be on a team that's big enough to put on a race.
Sure.
And
yeah.
so, like, you guys would be screwed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, except you put on Riverside, but that's mountain bike, so it doesn't count. But
Very true.
Yeah. I get that.
but I do think there should be some level of like a volunteer quota. Of,
Yes.
Okay, if you're going to be a sanctioned club, you have to help make the thing happen in some way, shape, or form.
I remember there were some collaborative efforts, like 3 teams could put on one race, kind of
sure.
a thing like
Yeah.
that, and they all just signed on to that. Either way, I just think the lack of sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. I must be excited. Was sometimes the biggest challenge was if a club's putting on a race, everybody in the club wanted to race the race. It's like, dude, just step off, just step over the top tube and chill for 24 hours. Watch somebody else race. You're not going to lose any World Cup points. Don't be a douchebag. Help the sport overall. And it would just drive me crazy. It was like, well, I'll help, but I need to race my race. Okay, you got to do some contract fulfillment or something like that?
That was always when during my race, people were like, so are you going to race? And it's like, no, dude, because I have to put on, like,
Yeah,
I'm
race.
not racing so that you can.
Yeah.
I do really encourage all of my teammates still to race. But
Do they want
it's
a discount?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, they're the worst. They're the worst.
Well, the way our team did it was that everybody was obligated to help out on the race, and there was a list of chores, and you got to pick.
Yeah.
And some of his course layout, I always did that. That provided me to be able to race. You didn't get to race and not put some skin in the game. If you brought 2 volunteers, that was the same. 2 volunteers, not just somebody to replace you. Because usually as a bike racer, you know how a bike race, if you're laying out the course or marshalling or that type of thing, and you kind of know how it functions, but you don't get your 12-year-old brother to sit in the corner and he didn't know what the heck's going on. So 2 of them would be fine. So that's something that kind of helps out a little bit. It's like if you're part of the team, this is a team putting it on. If you want to race, you race, and especially road races, because it's like in a crit, you can help out all the way up to it. Hop on the rollers like halfway through or whatever, the race before yours, and warm up and go do it. But on a road race, it was tough.
Yeah.
So,
All right, Ryan. So, time has come. You have dates this year.
Yes,
I don't know if that's the perfect song, but it works.
it works. We had a Target weekend. We hit pause on that again to see if Redmond could come back. But my goal was to slot in nicely right behind Gastown in Vancouver. Because sometimes there's some hitters who show up for that. And we're like, well, you're in town anyways.
Yeah.
We're just down the way. And so we will be July 11th through the 13th.
July 11th through the 13th, everybody. You just heard it right there.
With the goal of having a full day of racing for all categories on Friday
wow.
as well. So not just the evening.
An Omnium.
That is
An Omnium.
truly crazy.
Yeah.
That how well that works.
I want to say
me
how
personally.
well it works because, I thank you. The last day is my birthday.
Yep.
Yeah, so
That's why you get your own
guys
category.
picked it.
Exactly. That's
So that's
what I'm
why you
saying.
get your own
There he
category.
goes, birthday boy.
Birthday boy.
A little bike with the frilly tassels hanging out the sides and the cards and the
An
spokes.
awkward podium, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't be.
they
awkward.
all are.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
He'd be stoked about it.
11 through the 13th, Everett, Washington. Bike reg. When
Bike
will it be
Reg,
up on
the
Bike
goal
Reg?
is to be up and running essentially by Bloom at
Okay.
the latest, and have some
Out
level
drink.
of in-person. Yeah. I'm going to say Bloom a lot because I don't drink, but I encourage it in others.
Yeah, exactly. He's really good.
To have some level of, okay, you're here racing Bloom, cool, I have a discount for that. And I think that's a lot of, like, and Ace has been magical about, but that, again, rising tide. So he's given us Bloom Reg as, preem prize. Like, all of a sudden, that's a lap you want to, win. That's
Haul
not
ass.
insignificant.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So we gave Stoker for RC3 gave EPO reg, and so I think the more that we're all intertwined, particularly for races that are far away, like if I'm given, registration to a crit in Portland, how many of those guys were going to come anyway? Or, probably not a ton of them, but now all of a sudden, I've got a free reg. Do you want to go?
Yeah.
Because they're not going to go by themselves. So now they bring a buddy, and yeah. So, 11th through the 13th.
So 3 days. I know that we weren't there for the Friday nights.
No, I almost was, but
Yeah.
we had a conversation about
Yeah.
it. And I'm so happy.
To me, it's the coolest stage. Like, so it's 8 corners, because obviously that's something you should do, because staffing 8 corners is super fun. It is so like flowy, and there is not a corner that you can't rail. But and then you definitely got to come back up the hill. And so
I'm out.
Yeah, but I'm a large human, and I designed the course, so you'll be fine.
Okay.
But it is that was a lot of the thinking was I really try not to have free speed, where you get all of this boost of speed that didn't come because of your fitness, because usually if you have the fitness to generate that speed, you probably also have the skill to go around.
Sure.
But if you don't, bad things. And so having in that instance, if you descend 2 blocks in a row through that sort of downtown slope, you're going too fast.
Wow.
And so that's why it has sort of the unique shape
Sure.
that it has. And but it ends up being super flowy, super fun. The guys last year, the plan was they raced in the dark, and they started at dusk for the 1-2, and it turns out that's the thing. That's really cool.
3-stage Omnium, people. 3-stage Omnium.
And the Omnium bit, sort of by design, again, trying to create low barrier to entry, that one, you can just pick the stage that suits you, right? Like if this is your first race ever, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you've got a play the night before and you can't make it until I didn't say that,
Jackson.
and or if you are a glutton for punishment and you want to double up. And so we had Jeremy, one of the guys from Canada, he did 2 full Omniums last year. He did 6 races and did well in the races. And
Is there a price break?
oh yeah, yes.
That's right.
6 for 3.
Yeah.
We can put the spreadsheet, up on the screen, but there is a matrix of if this then that.
Yeah.
In terms of pricing, and I'm in sales, and I am all about like, let me give you a carrot. Like if you want to do more, I want to help you do more. Cool. And for sure. So if you're entered into an Omnium and you want to enter one other race, I want to say we got it down to just $20.
Wow.
Which like $20 for
That's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
and,
give me a
and so you can do that, like where you did last year, you did the 3-4s instead of the 2-3s, but maybe you're like, I kind of want to find out, so I'm going to do 1 2-3 stage, and then be like, dear God, I'm glad I did the 3-4s.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. And so giving people the opportunity to double up. I am big on like masters always have the opportunity to double up, but they don't have the legs, and they don't need the race repetitions for it. So like, let's give the young
Their
whippersnappers
hearts need a break.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Oh my God.
That's why you're going to Hawaii.
Oh man, I'm not gonna be invited back.
He says that every week, though.
Yeah, that's so true.
He does. Yeah. So I'm going to change the code on the door. Yeah. You don't even know it in the first place. All right. Well, dude, awesome. Kick ass this year, man. It's like I said, we talked about it post race last year. And we enjoyed the shit out of it, and I think you could pretty much guarantee that you're going to see some of our stupid faces there this year.
Yeah.
Well, for a limited amount of time. Speaking for myself. See, I beat you to it, Sam. Are you happy?
And we can talk about the Sunday course too.
Yeah.
And which courses we end up doing is and when is also TBD.
Oh, okay. Really?
There's a 3-on-3 tournament. You guys are familiar with those.
A little bit, yeah.
That's downtown. That's sort of, okay, are they going to move or not? there's 3-4 other courses that I could, that could be, let's do this one. So,
okay.
I would, my vision, I would love for this to be, a one weekend through the opposite weekend, Tour of America's Dairyland style. There's 9 days worth of racing. And I think there's courses to support it, and they may not all be immediately within 5 minutes of my house. But it's that kind of like, if you build it, will they come?
Yeah.
And both from a cost, is this viable, and a volunteer, do we want to make this happen, standpoint. But that's definitely, I drag my team kicking and screaming into maybe a little more.
Yeah.
What if we did a little more? I wanted to do a Thursday night this year, but it's like, okay, let's do a full day Friday, and then see. And so this feels like baby steps. But again,
so talk to me about where you can bang this drum from. Where are people going to find out the dates? We already know the dates, but where are people going to find out course information, registration information, heaven forbid, volunteer information?
Exclusively on the Packfiller podcast. Instagram is definitely the easiest.
Okay.
Links in bio will be a thing for sure. Our team website, revo-racing.com, which will probably end up having a standalone, EPO related website as well. But yeah, we'll bang the drum, from as many, places, but largely it's word of mouth. Like, it's, hey, I did this, it was awesome, you should come. And you guys mentioned that on the Bloom conversation, one person has a good time, they'll tell one person. If one person has a shitty time, they'll tell 50.
Yeah.
If you had a good time, at least tell one person. And that would be great. Yeah. And because we had 400 some odd racers, and if everybody told one who didn't come, all of a sudden,
you're in
step 3 is breaking even.
Right? Yeah. First one's admitting you have a problem. Well, right on, man. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. So, just to keep the show flowing. Speaking of events, here we have finally reached the light at the end of the tunnel. That's right, boys and girls. The classics are here. And this weekend, they call it the opening weekend with Omloop Het. I'm calling it Omloop Het Nieuwsblad and Kern and Brussels Kern. I asked Paul to give a kind of a brief Reader's Digest version of what to expect on the weekend, and then we'll do our quick picks.
You didn't tell me short Reader's
Digest. Well, we're running short on time, so I added that in right now, assuming you go.
You expect me to be? No, I'm chewing into my time already. So on Loop, this is I think the 80th running up, so it's been around for a while. What I like about it, and I think my big thing is that the original Tour of Flanders course, which went over the Muur de Gerardsbergen, which I've been there and saw the race go over there. It was great. Yeah, I've been to Belgium.
What?
Have I not told you guys that?
No.
All right. So there's 11 bergs that they go over. Some of them will be in the Tour of Flanders and stuff. The Bosberg, which is the very last climb, and there's about 13 kilometers to the finish. Who's it? Jan Tratnik.
Tratnik won last year.
Yep. And he's on a different team this year. So
he is on Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Yeah.
And then Kerner is not as rated as high. It's a 1 Pro. But it's been around for, I think there's 77 editions or something like that. But it has more bergs, but it's a longer run, flat run. Usually sprinters get into it. But there was a famous one. I can't remember what year. Was it 16? Where there was 3.
He could be making this shit up and rest of it. I mean, like one guy.
I want to fact check on
quick
this
step.
shit.
Yeah, quick step. You look it up. It was quick step.
One guy in a bar in Belgium's going, fucking you idiot.
No, that's not who was in the break.
Yeah.
It was Tom Bonen. There was what's it, Vandenberg? I can't remember. There was a third quick step guy. And Ian Standard, who was with Sky.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. The 3v1.
And there's 3 against 1, and he ended up winning.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
We all knew what he was saying.
You are throwing me shade.
Honestly,
This
I
is the
didn't
kind
know
of
where
respect
you
a 62-year-old gets on this frickin' show.
Yeah, it should be less.
Jesus, I try and enlighten you people, give you a little history.
Get what you earn.
Yeah.
Men's and women's. We're picking the top three riders of our choosing. Paul, I mean, Sam, I assume you picked everybody under the stars and bars.
Nope.
So we're starting with Omloop Nieuwsblad. We should start with the women. Quick picks, gentlemen. Here we got to get segments in too. So quick picks. Pat Bulger picks Katja Nieuwiedoma, Demi Vollering, cause duh, and Ellen Van Dyke because I would like to see Ellen Van Dyke win something huge.
Jackson picks Cassia Nieuwiedoma, Tiffany Cromwell, and Demi Vollering.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing the women first. I'm here.
Ladies first.
Yeah, of course. Sam, I'm going to do Demi Vollering, Elizabeth Dignan, and I'm a fan.
I'd like to see Lizzie win something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lorena Weebs.
Yep.
Weebus.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm going with Vollering like everybody else. Dignan actually matching Sam. Yeah, but I'm going with Backstead, Eleanor Backstead. Her daddy's a good bike racer, and she's pretty impressive.
Maggie. So. Yeah. Ryan, you just want to stay out of it, right?
Yeah, I don't.
No, you're
I
cool.
don't have enough informed opinion on it, and usually that doesn't stop me.
We're basically reaching behind our ass, grabbing a handful of poo and throwing it on the dartboard here.
So Demi Vollering. That's
There
a
you go.
safe
Yeah.
bet.
For sure, safe bet.
Yeah. Men, Wout van Aert, because duh. Jan Trotnik, because I think it'd be hilarious to see him double up. And Casper Askren, because I would love to see him with his new team make a big noise.
Jackson is Wout van Aert. Tom Pidcock's shown a little bit of good form lately. I don't really
Against
love him.
nobody.
Yeah, well, yeah. And Arnaud Delis, I think he had a quiet year last year, but I think this is it for him.
Good call.
Wout van Aert, obviously. Casper Asgreen, because, gosh, I would love to see him do something, especially on EF. And then Matej Mohoric.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I went with Delis like Jackson. Ashgren like you.
Yep.
But I went with Niels Pollitt.
Ooh.
He
was
was
not
second
bad.
last
his last year.
Yeah.
He's a motor when it comes to that type of race.
Especially with those teeth.
Yeah, those teeth. Earl. Kern Brussels Kern. I picked two technical sprinters, Tim Merlier, Wout van Aert, and I wanted Casper to win something this weekend, so I picked him twice.
There you go. I picked Tim Merlier. I picked Jasper Philipsen, who had a really suspect UAE tour. I will just say that.
That 300-meter sprint. In the headwind,
but he's got a pretty good classic in him somewhere. And Biniam Girmay.
Yeah, I knew you would have to at least once. I'm sticking to the same.
Green
Wout
jersey.
van Aert. Yeah, that's true. Casper Asgreen and Matej Mohoric.
Paul.
Ashgren, Merlier, and I got Coy for my.
Oh,
Interesting.
Oh, he. Yeah.
Are you being coy?
Yeah.
See what I did there?
He got dropped pretty early in the UAE tour. I'm interested to see how this next.
He
goes
was
for him.
tapering for this.
Yeah,
He was
right.
tapering.
That's fair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
He
you,
was.
Ross. That's great.
He was.
Yeah.
There we go. Finally, let's get to our segments. Thanks to our friends at Giro, the OG of modern helmet design, shoes like butter, and so much more. I have a new pair of shoes, and they are like butter. Check out the website today by using our link at packfiller.com. Okay. First off, look at me going quickly to sound effect to sound effect. We're going fit tips with Bike Fit Sam. Thanks to Ambassador Cycling. Check out ambassadorcycling.com. We want to talk about cleat float.
Yes.
That just sounded weird saying it. Cleat float. I don't know. It just sounded wrong. Cleat float. Cleat float. Varying degrees of cleats with varying degrees of floats, varying degrees of pedals with adjustability, things like that. Paul and I remember back in the day when your choice was to flip
Either
over the toe
cages.
clip, put your foot in,
Yeah.
step down. It was straight, and that was it. And then you tighten it down. And if you forgot, you fell.
But
Yes.
didn't you do this? Didn't you no cleat, and because of the aluminum on the pedal, you would ride for a while and would leave a mark
On the
and
horse?
That's
On the shoe?
and that's where you put your cleat because the cleat it went in the groove. Yeah, the shoe without the cleat on it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I had
With toe clips
I
and
had
stuff.
coaches who lined that stuff up for me. I was a silver
These
spoon
people
little
took care of
bitch. Yeah. I was just
Yeah,
taking care
I
of it.
was poor.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I started in that era. Like, I had toe
Were you
cages.
toe clips?
I had
Yeah.
toe cages. Yeah.
I remember Gino found these toe clips that were unbreakable. fucking plastic.
Yeah.
Like a nylon plastic.
yeah.
no,
That's
these
what I
were
wrote.
like a pretty soft aluminum.
But it
Like,
was
you
always Alfredo Beta straps.
Yeah,
'cause
always.
That's what you rode, damn it.
I think they're Diodora. Or my
These are the shoes, yeah.
I think
Oh, yeah.
so, if I'm remembering.
Yeah.
Right.
Black with the little yellow on the
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Toe clips just had built-in float.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Because your clip
Float was never a problem. It was perfect.
your cleat
Kids
wore
these days
down.
and their
Yeah,
knee
right.
injuries,
Yeah. So and then I remember when Look first came out, and they taught. It wasn't Look, it was Time that came out with the first degree of float in those cleats, saying it was better for your knees and all this wonderful stuff. So as a bike fitter who aligns this kind of stuff, talk to me about the importance of float and how many degrees you truly need.
Yeah, so it depends on like I would go with knee health, you know, and then also like what your range of motion is in all of your lower extremities. So if you have like, you know, good internal
Wait,
rotation.
all of them?
Yeah, in the sense of God. What I mean is your hips, knees.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, of course. God damn it. Anyway, so it's really is a awesome thing, but it can also just be a cover up an issue. Like if you are unsure of your fit, throw on some speed plays and open them up, you know,
Really?
because like,
Yeah.
yeah, then your foot can move all around. But if you want to get more dialed, and if it's more for like a race, you know, if you're more of a racer, I would go into having less float and being a little bit more stiff in the pedal. So yeah, I don't know. It just depends on the pedal interface, but I think Shimano is what I'm most familiar with, just
Okay.
because that's what I have. I had Speedplay before that, and Speedplay I think has 15 degrees of float
Oh
that's
my
adjustable.
God.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's because that's if you open up both heel in, heel out adjustments. So you wouldn't normally leave that like that, right? You'd tighten up one of them and find where you want it to be. But
Yeah.
and then Shimano, I believe, goes up to like 6 degrees with the yellow. So
I think
yeah.
Look, the gray cleats are 3. and
Black
the
is absolutely none.
gray is
Yeah.
3 or 5, and red is 8. I think.
Yeah. So I mean,
Wow.
honestly, they're all about the same for that nowadays. That would make sense that they all have kind of 3 tiers for it. But I would say, yeah, like I like to have a little bit more float just because I've, you know, had a knee surgery, and so I like to have a little bit more play. But yeah,
Okay.
I always feel like I'm like on ice when I'm like if
Too
float
much
is
float.
Whoa,
it's just
yeah.
like if I get out of the saddle, there's nothing to push against. Like
Yeah.
I don't have confidence, and yeah, so I'm
Especially
despite,
a sprinting situation too.
yeah,
which
but that's
would
all I
really-
can do. But yeah, despite having all kinds of ankle trauma and bone fragments and all the things, like give me 0.
Really?
yeah, and as
Yeah.
long as you're like fit to that, right? Dialed. Like you don't like I fit people all the time on zeros, but I would say that you would need to have a fit if you're going to go to something that is more limited like that, because you
Yeah.
don't have that like buffer zone anymore with the cleat.
Yeah. All right. Do you got
What?
one?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. It must be that time. Yes. Closing time. No, I'm kidding. It is the cool down with Jackson Bolger because he's so cool and
Yep.
he's down with Post Malone. I'm
Call
kidding.
back. Call
I
back.
tease.
Sure, you just.
But you're
you
going
just
country on me, and I might not like you.
go. I think I've gone.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Really?
Spokane, so
Yeah.
Oh.
can you go country if you're already there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Hey, I take offense to that. Don't you dare.
For reference, I grew
Go.
up in Millwood, so
Okay, never mind then. What do you got for us, Jackson?
So I have been. I talk about it all the time, but it's interesting how my attention switches from winter to trring to summer, and bikes go away from me, and then out of nowhere, it's just like boom, they're back in my life.
Yeah.
And that's happened recently. Last week, I talked about my fixation on a certain watch that I really want, and this recent week, I have started to come upon these Instagram reels that have been suggested to me that are like the top 3 or the top 5 things that cyclists, you know, should get, or that the beginner cyclists should have when they start out, you know. And I thought that was such an interesting question, because I'm like, what would be the top 3 things that a beginner cyclist should get? And in this case, I'm talking, road cyclist, right? And so I thought, personally for me, a good helmet, especially after crashing, I've really thanked God for Pac. And then a good pair of cycling shorts. Not to toot our own horn here, but Panache, our team kit sponsor, does strictly endurance chamois in theirs, which has been great. And then my last one, I had a tough time figuring out. And we were kind of talking about it before the show started and everything. And I really do love my higher end cycling sunglasses.
Yeah.
And so I think those are my three things. I mean, there are a plethora of other things that you would need, but what do you say?
Oh,
what are yours?
My God. A doping program.
For sure.
An alibi and a moto man.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you
That's a
What
really
do you got
good
going on?
question. I do think about that a lot just from working with novice cyclists. When they're getting into it, they ask me very commonly, what things should I look into getting? And two of them are the exact same. I do helmet. Safety reasons are the big one for me. But then it's also comfort. I love strapping on my helmet because it's a comfortable helmet that is also lightweight and, good airflow, all that. So I think that there's investment in that, kind of a good pair of shoes, but chamois, super important for comfort, preventing saddle sores, all that good stuff. Good pair of chamois goes a long ways. And then I would say saddle, get fit for a proper saddle.
That'd be my number 4.
Good
how many people come in and they're like, God, it's just, it's so, how could you ride that thing? And I'm like, well, actually, if it's the right saddle for you, it's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
Not a good saddle,
Like
but a
mine.
good saddle for you.
For you.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
my buddy has this. And so
Totally.
you have your-
How many
I said,
times
well,
have you heard that, right? I saw this person ride this. I'm like, they're 130
To me,
pound
it
Italian.
feels like a upside down baseball bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I like my saddle.
God, I don't
Speak
get
of
it.
the devil.
I don't. I was thinking about that in the photo that you sent. I was like, how on God's green earth has he maintained that angle of the saddle?
Yeah, it's perfect. It's
The-
absolutely perfect.
You got to see it sometime, Ryan. It's like this.
No, it isn't.
That's the
It's-
front of the
it's
nose, by the way. And
Maybe
it's
3-4 degrees.
and the
rising.
saddle's about this wide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ass
So the three
hatchet.
things I would
Paul,
say.
I'm about to put my saddle a little nose up personally because it feels a
Because
little
you're
low.
a year older.
Yeah.
It's the
Well,
thing. Once you get
speaking
over
of
50.
what was
is
it,
it?
nut chuck or whatever,
Chuck a nut, yeah.
chuck a nut. I just throw the bag over on the other side, so I don't have any problems with it.
You can hear it hit the ground on the other side.
Does
Oh.
he throw him over his shoulder like a continental soldier? Does Paul hang low?
Good end.
Paul, what are your cycling things?
They would have to at contact points. To me, good tires.
Sure.
Because nothing creates more of a, people get intimidated, especially on the road bike because of narrow tires and stuff. But just good quality tires. And I would say, all the contact points, finding a saddle that fits, kind of like everybody's agree on. And rim fucking brakes, not this fucking just, no. But, just a bike that's actually fit properly. Find somebody, I would always, ask them to find somebody that knows. You need to find somebody that knows how to fit you properly.
Yeah.
Bike shops, as a general rule, do a good job, but some of them just want to get the bike out of the door, and that doesn't help.
When you always fit something they have in stock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Ryan, you want to jump in
I
on
think
this?
a lot of it, I feel like you nailed the. I think saddle is key because all the chamois in the world won't matter, right? If it does not fit you.
Yeah.
But I think the sunglasses bit of it, and not just saying that because I rep for 100%. But something that makes you feel like you want to go ride the bike. And I think the difference is when you're new, that can be sunglasses, but then eventually it's it needs to be a new bike. So it could be wheels. It could as you go along, you need, a stronger drug to have the effect. But just something that makes you feel fast, something that makes you feel pretty, something that makes you want to go do the thing.
I couldn't agree
gets you
more.
excited.
Yeah.
And if that's sunglasses because you're brand new to it, more power to you. Now you have more money to register for races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My father had lost one of his eyes in a hunting accident, and so when I was a kid, it was I I want you to wear the most comfortable eyewear and the best eyewear you can wear. My dad would say, don't ever skimp on eyewear, don't ever skimp on shoes, and in this case, don't ever skimp on a helmet.
Yeah.
And those are the three things I would pick. The doping thing was, I don't know if
Of
you guys
course,
knew it was
of
a joke.
course,
I was
yeah.
joking.
Really?
Couldn't
I
tell.
didn't pick it up.
Yeah. So for those of you listening right now, I was joking.
He wasn't.
I do this occasionally. But no, and as you said, Ryan, you want to kind of look cool.
Yeah.
You want to go out the door going, oh, yeah. And then a car goes by you going, you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Like the fact
Like
that I have
going
a lens go over my nose. I know for most people that probably looks a little stupid,
love
but I
that.
feel so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyways, thanks everyone for
Yeah.
There we go.
humoring
All
me.
right. I think that takes us to the end of our show, gentlemen. And it brings us to the final K, the final question. And it is a two-part final question. So it's got to be rapid fire. It's got to be kind of quick. And I got to shut up. First part of the final K is, what was the last song that made you cry or at least emotional? And the second one was, how emotional are you about the cancellation of the Tour de France Unchained being canceled? I said canceled twice on Netflix. Jackson, song.
There is an Against Me song, and it's singing to like,
Because of the shame.
yes, and I think that was the first time that I realized, it's going to sound really cheesy, that no, not the first time, one of the many times that I realized that I really truly can't live without the person I'm married to.
Oh my God!
There we go.
And how are you about the Tour de France Unchained?
I really couldn't care less.
Wow!
For a guy who loves a good docuseries.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
Care less.
Sam,
I
have to
usually,
restart
my
this one.
emotional thing is more of getting ramped up for like, I think like bike races and stuff like that. And so I think Run Boy Run has been the most recent, like,
by whom?
I think it's like Wild something. I'll
Stallion.
yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah.
Run Boy Run. That's,
Nobody got the Wild Stallion reference.
Yeah.
That was Bill and Ted's band.
No.
Bill and Ted. But anyway, keep going.
and then I'm excited. Yeah.
You're excited
That
you're
it's canceled?
You're excited that it's canceled.
Yeah.
Okay.
You make
I'm just
no
kidding. I'm
fucking
sorry.
sense. I'm putting on the loop because we got to keep it going. Paul.
I would say a visceral response to the music was St. John's Cathedral and Hildegard van Bingen. Look her up. She would
Good God.
herbalist. Anyway, she
Okay.
she
Sounds like
wrote
something.
some music and they produced it. Anyway, it's kind of a chorale thing, and it was done in the church, and it was pretty mighty moving. So Unchained, very bummed, but I understand why.
Ryan.
Essentially anything from the Greatest Showman soundtrack.
Oh,
Like,
really?
Oh.
If that doesn't move the needle for you, you're probably dead inside.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then not heartbroken. I feel like cycling needs to get it right in terms of exposure to a larger audience, and I don't know that that's it. And I think it could do more harm than good in terms of, long term winning people over.
yeah.
But I don't know that the Real Housewives of Tour de France is.
There we go. That's
Yes.
a great way to say
Yes.
it.
Fair
That's
enough,
a great
yeah.
way to say it. I stopped the music because that was kind of annoying. Last song that made me cry. Don't even get me started. I cry at everything. I cry at the drop of a hat. My wife and I will listen to music.
What
and-
are your
and I'll
tea
just- I'll
levels
just start
like?
crying.
I'm just
I
curious.
think got to be all over the place. They've got to be. All
Depends
over.
on the day.
Yeah.
But there. I don't know why. A Sting song called "I'm So Happy That I Can't Stop Crying" is about a guy who's dealing with a divorce, and I love my wife.
Does she love you?
She does.
Okay.
Last time I checked. Because I keep her comfortable living in the way she accepts. No, because and how he, the kids are gone and all that kind of stuff, and that one makes me emotional. There are a ton of songs that make. Actually, the one I was gonna say, and it has nothing to do with my life or anything like that, and I have no idea why. And I'm saying this for Jackson's wife. Taylor Swift's "Black Dog"
Yes.
makes me emotional every time. It's about a girl getting cheated on, and I don't know why. It's a song that makes me cry. And with the Tour de France Unchained, it's something else will come along,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was cool.
All right.
There's YouTube.
There we go.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, panel, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan, thank you for traveling all the way here. Once again, where do we find EPO information?
Yeah. Everett Performance Omnium on Instagram.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you
We'll
for
find you.
promoting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for doing a race, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
being
thank
here.
you.
And everybody else, we'll catch you next week.
See you
There we
later.
go.